Mhm. Got it. Okay. Let me just open it. Yeah, I think we're on.
I'm pretty sure we are, because once you press it, we're on.
Anyone here yet? I don't think
On my
so.
microphone, it's fine. We don't need an audience. Good afternoon, everyone from the East Coast. Erin here from Quantum Healing with Tina and Karen. I'm here with my lovely co-host Tina.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, so we're hopping on an afternoon call just to talk about current energies and just having a little chit chat of whatever comes up.
Yeah.
We're just going to let the conversation flow, perhaps talk about a little bit of our own observations of what's going on, observations within ourselves, and also what's going on outside of us. So welcome. Hello, Tina.
Hi. How are you?
Oh, I'm feeling very it's funny because we watched that video last night. I know I'm talking in my head, trying to be as intuitive and heart speaking and answer the questions. How am I feeling? I don't really know. I don't have anything really fully attached to that. I guess this is what it is like in just being right now. I don't have any obligation to do anything at this moment. So I'm not really feeling anything. Pretty neutral, I guess, would be the best
Neutral.
answer. Yeah, neutral. I know that my physical body is purging. I've been like sticking with the MMS and slowly adding more and more drops per day and then doubling the drops and then doing that twice. And now I'm doing that 3 times a day. So I'm allowing for my body to work with that and heal itself. And it was interesting in our group today that we just had with hosted by Eve Lorgan, about how one of the gals was saying that she doesn't eat. And I was like, yes, I mean, I was munching on carrots and cauliflower, which is not my norm. I'm usually eating chips or something gross. But yes, I do feel that no matter what I'm eating, it's giving me the body is reacting to what I put in my body clearly. And I do feel like it's important to connect with my gut, at least. Like I remember I was saying, like, did I do something wrong? What do you need? And sometimes it's usually like I do stop eating to a certain degree at night. And then after that, I fast because I'm sleeping. And then I could hold off till the evening, till I really eat something. But yeah. So I was really resonating with that whole thing. Like she's on day 9 of not eating. I don't know. That was crazy. I was like, that's
Yeah,
awesome to
it is
get to that
awesome.
space. Yeah. So I'm gonna try like doing little things like that, at least like increasing the fasting time, but not putting so much pressure on it. I think it's the pressure of like, I want to get to day 9. No, I need to get to like hour 3
Yeah.
without the habit of like, because I tend to eat when, during or after sessions. I think about eating during sessions. I think about food all the time. I go on Uber Eats just to go find something to eat, put in my basket, and then close the app. It's a really weird thing. So I'm trying to work with those, like trying to combat those parasites that are trying to influence me to feed my body trash, feed my body chemicals, or who knows what is going on. Because, like we're saying, we want to stop going to restaurants because we don't know what's in the food, who's handling the food, what's going on there, what entities may be working through people to give us our food. And so to
And
make it,
whatever they have in them that's being then
transmuted,
transferred
to the food.
to the food that then we're eating.
Right. Like we
Yeah.
don't want those kind of spices in our food, if you know what I'm saying. And so in order for us to make it ourselves, but even at that, the food that we're getting, whether we make it or not, again, there's still a process of, there's still a middleman in between there, or the land that it grows on that we don't know how they take care of it, that we have to take into account. And considering like what we know about what goes on in the environment, the external environment, and how, shit gets sprayed, who knows what, and how micro nano these particles can be. Can we wash them off? Is the baking soda enough?
No, because they get absorbed into the soil and
right,
then it goes up into the plant. When the plant's extracting nutrients from the soil, it absorbs the nano. So it's like everything
that we're consuming.
And I think that's why a lot of us don't feel well, because I've been getting this message for a long time and I've really been ignoring it. So when she said that today,
I love food. I know I have an addiction. It's a problem. It's a coping thing. So yeah, go ahead.
So when she said that today, it really struck me.
Yeah,
And
me too.
Ava's been saying it too. But yeah, I feel my best when I don't eat, or when I just consume fluids like lemon water and juice. I feel my best. As soon as I put something solid in my body, I feel awful. I have pain, like automatic pain, and just my body, I feel like my body is just rejecting it. And yeah, and I'm just continuing to not listen because I like to eat.
I love eating. I said that a lot. I'm just stressing that I was open to be like encouraged. And of course there's the other part, the hungry child inside that's resisting, like, no, that's the only thing we got going for us over here.
Yeah. And it's interesting how the body has been reacting to the changes in the environment and actually gaining weight, especially since September. So let's talk about September briefly, because I remember I made a video. It was like right after the Queen died, and it was called The Wave of Darkness. And I felt this energy coming through, this wave of dark energy that was coming through, but I didn't exactly know why or how or what, or I mean, there was the energies, of course, of 9/11, the Queen dying, which is never an accident, right? Like those things don't happen by accident. There's always some kind of ritual involved in that. And then the following week was the week we got abducted or attacked in our sleep. And we came down with CV symptoms. So talk about a wave of darkness. That was intense. Now,
I haven't recovered since.
No, I haven't recovered since. And my body has been gaining weight like crazy since then. And I think that's it's trying to protect itself, right? It's putting on this weight as a way to protect from attacks, to protect from whatever is going on in the environment. Because I don't know if anyone has noticed, but the energies have been so intense since then. And yeah, it's just been really difficult, like moving through the last several months. And like we were talking about in group today, a lot of times we will internalize that and say, well, what's wrong with us? And I think there is a degree of self-responsibility that we always need to look at. Is there something that I'm not seeing within myself that could be creating these symptoms? Of course, but we have to take into consideration the outside frequencies and energies that are in our environment that we're also being bombarded with, not just in the environment, but I mean, food, air, water, all of it combined, and then contact with other people and how that energy is affecting us. I'm sorry, my mind's going down like so many paths right now. So let me get back to the Queen in September. So I knew something had happened then. And I just came across a video by Jessie Czebotar on the Aquarius Rising channel, where a lot of things were pinging for me when she was speaking. And I didn't exactly align with exactly what she was saying, but what pinged for me was, okay, so in the 1940s, I think it was, Aleister Crowley, it might have been before that, but anyway, he did this big ritual called the Babylon Working Ritual. And after he did that, I read this whole book on this subject. After he did that, the sightings of gray aliens and abductions started and have increased and never stopped since then. So what the researchers surmised was that he opened some kind of portal that allowed these entities to come through. And we don't exactly know what they are, if they're actual physical aliens, if they are some kind of demonic entities, because it seems like, you know, our idea of demons has shifted over time. And now it seems like they're embodying things as this consciousness is changing, the collective consciousness, like they're embodying different shapes and forms now, you know, because like aliens are a big thing now, right? And so it's like they've shifted over time how they're appearing to us. So what clicked for me from that video was she said something about the Queen Elizabeth and the death and all that. But what clicked for me was that her death was the last part of that ritual that needed to be completed in order to open the portal fully for these beings to come through. So it was, you know, these guys play the long game. They're not short term. They have patience and they play the long game. So this is decades, a century, you know, close to a century later. And that just hit me so hard because the week after her death is when we got attacked by them.
Yeah.
And so a lot of us in our group and everything have been feeling this really strange energy this week where we're not able to ground fully into our bodies, or we're not able to connect with the body itself. It's like something is preventing us from connecting with the body. Let me just write this down. So someone had mentioned, hey, Candid, nice to see you here.
It's been a while. Welcome.
So someone mentioned today that there's been a hijacking of the Earth's frequency, or the Schumann resonance, with an inorganic energy, which is exactly what I've been feeling in my body. These inorganic frequencies, I can tell they're not, when I feel the energy of the earth, it's a calming, soothing vibration in my body. This is like a frantic buzzing in my body, like a vibration, and it causes pain. The earth's frequency doesn't cause pain. So that's one part of this, is that we could be, they're ungrounding us with some kind of inorganic technology. That's one part. Then what Jessie also said in that video, which I'll link below later if you guys want to check it out, was that, so we know that a lot of people are actually becoming possessed. And we talked about this in 2020, and the whole agenda for what they were trying to do in ejecting us from our bodies, so that these end time spirits, so the spirits that are coming through this portal that they've finally been able to open all the way, Jessie calls end time spirits, which is basically demonic entities that come through, and they need human hosts because they can't get into the higher heavens themselves. So they're ejecting us as humans from our bodies, which is the whole reason for the you know what. And that's part of it. And then just getting people so addicted to the AI that they're not in their bodies, or up in their minds so they're not in their bodies, ungrounding us completely, and then making it easier for these entities to possess our bodies because they need human bodies. They need a human vessel. So that clicked for me too, because I think that's why they're doing this, like sending out these inorganic frequencies to create that disembodiment, to make it easier for entities to take over the bodies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so what Jessie says is that, you know, Satan is gathering his army.
Mm-hmm.
Satan is gathering his army. And you can see it. I mean, you can see it in the people around you. They're like not there.
Yeah. It's affecting everybody. It's just a matter of how can you catch it within yourself as well. You know, that's really the most important thing. And what I find is really important too is how easy people can get really distracted by God knows what. Mm-hmm. It's creating an even stronger divide within the community, you know, left and right, and going this way and that way. And I want to go on that side. I want to choose that side because that side's evil. And then this side over there is saying that side's evil. There's a lot of divide happening, but it's creating distraction and pulling us away from our own sovereignty and catching what is happening, like the bigger picture behind the possession that is happening right now. People are getting possessed, so be aware of your distractions. Like, you don't have to pick a side, it's just pick yourself.
Yeah.
It's like, if you can embody yourself.
Did I lose you?
Did I lose you? Am I frozen? Are you frozen? Yeah.
You're frozen.
I was like, whose anger is that? It's mine. That's funny. But yes, the point is to be able to come back into center and to ask yourself, am I being distracted? How am I being distracted? And how is it splitting me? Do I feel like I'm being pulled in different directions? Is my mind, is my energetic body, is everything being pulled out of myself? Because once you're out of yourself, then leaves the opening. So even if you claim sovereignty or you are actively working on yourself, any of those subtle ways that you give your power away just through, oh, look, there's a shiny thing, let me look at that. That's open door. You have to be fully in your body as much as you possibly can and take up that space and not be afraid to.
Yeah.
They are coming in hard.
Yeah. There's a part of me that doesn't want to believe that, you know, like there's really a part of me
that resists that,
that is in not, yeah, because it sounds so out there. Like the stuff that we say sounds so out there. And I can't, like, there's a part of me that can't believe that this is the world we live in. Like, I just can't wrap my head around it. There's that part. And then there's like the deeper inner knowing that knows 100% that this is happening.
Yeah, because you could see it. You
can see it.
You could see everybody scatter. The ones that are around on a normal basis have scattered.
Yeah.
They've left. And so I know what you're talking about. Living and holding two, different consciousnesses at the same time, of that higher knowing, and then the human part that, wants to believe in the world that we used to live in the 80s and 70s, and being like, oh, that was the good times, or you could hula hoop in the blue sky. Like, Yeah, I know. It's crazy for me to do like a podcast like this, and then I know I have to go pick up my kids later and be like, come on, babies, let's go home and let's make dinner that I'm not going to eat. And but coming back into that reality of having to go out there in the world where the consciousness completely is not on the same level at all. That's why it's really hard sometimes, like to be able to hold the two visions at once, or the multiple visions, the multiple realities that everybody's perceptions and consciousnesses are holding all at the same time, that they all exist at the same time.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, but I feel like through my experience of what we've been seeing since September has created, there's so many parts within our catacomb and within the maze within yeah, within ourselves that these entities could hide in our blind spots that are playing into our own personalities, and we mistake it because of that internalization. And when I
Yes.
internalize and say, like, well, that's got to be a subpart, is it a subpart or is it an entity acting on my behalf of a subpart or whatever? So there's so many subtleties of how you are being played.
Yeah. And we were just talking about this last night and how it can really be as subtle. It's so subtle. Like you have
It's
to be
so
so
subtle.
it's so subtle. You have to be so in tune with yourself, and you might be existing that way for a long time and not catch it. Like it takes time to be like, wait, that's not really my energy. And it tricks you into thinking a lot of times. So this is the one that came up recently. It was like tricking us into thinking that we're small, or that we don't have the confidence to be who we are, that we like our knowing, our seeing isn't enough. And it was like what came up in that clearing where he was saying, like, those parts of us by the world, like those intuitive parts of us, those creative parts of us, have been shunned by the world. They've never been accepted. So, because of that, because those parts are there, unaccepted by the world, kind of casted aside as other, right? Because we all think of ourselves as other. We don't fit with the collective. We are other. And so, what entities can do is very subtly play on those parts of ourselves that feel like other. And so
Special.
and feel special, and um they can even work in the opposite way of making you feel small, like I don't fit in here, like I don't have the power to use my voice and to speak my truth and to really stand in who I am, like really being strong and confident in who you are, and having the confidence to take up space, to know that you have the right to take up space, you have the right to be here, you have the right to speak your truth, and you should. Because if we are shrinking down, and sometimes that entrainment can happen when you're with others that are in a lower, I don't want to say like vibration, but kind of in a lower consciousness. You sometimes will entrain to that lower consciousness instead of rising above it and maintaining that strength and sovereignty. So yeah,
Absolutely.
it's looking at all of these like subtle layers of energy and how they can be manipulated.
Yeah.
And yeah, just having more and more awareness of what's happening energetically, and also being aware of, like, this is a frequency war with them, the controllers, so
Yeah.
they're going to inject what they can into our reality to throw off our frequency. And, these inorganic energies that I've been feeling this last week, like, I would love to know how you guys have been feeling, because I know a lot of other people were saying that they were feeling they couldn't connect with their body.
Hmm.
And that the feeling I had that one night where I felt like I was out of my body, and I've never felt that before. And I couldn't get in. It was like there was some kind of layer over it.
It's
So
like a normal for me. but we're opposite in that way, like where I've spent my whole life out of my body. Like I literally have a balcony right here on my shoulder where I just sit out and have my coffee. But yeah, I could see how that could be really difficult because it was really odd for me. And we spoke about this in group too, how it could feel claustrophobic or limiting in the body. And I think that's another reason, like for someone like me who left a lot so that I can go out and explore God knows what, to leave here. And then finally coming into this one, like a studio apartment bed, like body, or like a little cupboard, and being like, oh my God, like how am I gonna fit, like, put myself in here and feel safe in here? It feels so tight. But I feel like as if like when we can move all the junk out and do the inner work, like moving the trauma out, moving our emotions, feeling the emotions, getting it, getting to know the body so that you could build your studio apartment into a nicer living space, a more comfortable living space, because you're moving all that shit out that you didn't get to experience or that you didn't want to,
Right.
or disassociated for. So yeah, it's coming in and then knowing what that feels like and then creating safety there instead of sitting on the balcony all the time.
Yeah, and that's really hard for a lot of people that have been really traumatized and they're really suffering. Do you have any advice for someone that is looking to begin connecting with the heart and their inner child?
Wow, that's a really difficult question. Because I was reflecting on that question this morning. I think that's why I didn't answer them. And now you're asking me, and I'm like, put on the spot. Okay. Coming from someone who just avoided everything and then being in the space of, yes, I could see it for what it is, and trying to bring that energy in safely. I think again, we all have a knowing. We all have that. It's just a matter of, do I trust it or not? We could start with that voice. When it comes to the heart, it really is in that voice, understanding that that is the voice. That's where it comes from. Connecting with the inner child for me came only when I started doing the deep, deep, deep inner work and knowing my patterns so much that I could tell when my demeanor changes even in the slightest. So
Into
even
the
in the way,
child.
yes, and like my adult self, like literally shifting in that moment into the child, even in the way that I swallow. So, yes, I think, well, the healing work, yes, for one, is going to give you that ability to trust. I do know that I've always had that knowing. I've always had that ability to see people for who they really are, able to read through them very easily. It's just that I was told that I was being judgmental, there's no way that you would know that just by seeing, or by, no evidence whatsoever. But it has proven time and time again that what is called judgment is correct. So profiling, for one, it's part of our work. We know people when they come into our space already what kind of a person you are just by looking at you. It's a really weird phenomenon. Like, we know your patterns already. We know how you think. We know what you gravitate towards. We know what your intention is. But to answer the question again of the heart, that took a lot of time for healing. I mean, to trust that and to take away the words of what was given to us outside of ourselves, like, you're judgmental, you're not good enough, or that's stupid, or whatever. But actually seeing, like, yes, I have that connection. I have the ability to connect. And again, if it's really difficult for you to connect to the inner child, it's just mirroring, the deep, like how far you are from like the work that you need to do. It's just showing you the work that you need to do to get to that space where you can just sit with the child and not have to say a thing. Sometimes all you need is just that presence.
Yeah. Yeah. It's presence. I mean, that's what children need. They don't need you to say or do anything. It's just presence and creating that space of safety and love.
Exactly.
That's it.
Yes.
And go ahead.
No, go. You're on a roll.
In reparent, we have to begin to reparent ourselves and give ourselves and our inner children all of the things that we didn't have as a child, that we needed, that we wanted, even if it was just like a hug or a word of encouragement, or like just, and that's how we begin to generate self-love. Like when we talk about self-love, it's hard to imagine, like, how do you love yourself? But if you can imagine that you have a younger version of yourself inside, an inner child, then it's easier as your adult self to give that child the love and attention that she always needed or he always needed, you know?
Yes, you need to validate yourself
Yeah.
and know that whatever you're feeling is okay. There's a lot of that needing to, it's validation, it's safety, validation, safety, and just being honest, brutally honest. Because once you can open up those doors, the energy of your heart and your child, let's say, will settle, and just start there. And even
Right.
if you have that doubt of like, I don't know if I was connecting to that, don't come into it in a space of paranoia that you might be connecting with let's say, an entity or a demon, whatever. Is that really my inner child, or is that a demon? Majority of us are traumatized. So it's like, just listen. You don't have to give your power to it, but just listen and see. And does it feel good to me? Does it feel genuine? It doesn't have to be so complicated. Like, am I being tricked? Don't overcomplicate it. Just try to generate the trust that you're like, okay, I think that was genuine. It feels like I just need attention. It feels like I just need to be heard, or that I just need presence.
Right. Yeah. And like we were talking about in group 2, it's like, when it comes to the heart, the easiest way to begin connecting with the heart is through nature, children, and animals, especially horses.
Mm-hmm.
Horses, and I had this vision of horses the other day and what it's like to step into their energy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it brings tears to my eyes because it's almost otherworldly. The
Yeah. There's so,
the presence that they have.
oh God, yeah. Yeah, that
Yeah.
I have like those like chills of remembering when I first met the horse. And I was like, oh my God, they're so beautiful. Like, such a majestic presence.
Yeah.
A lot of awe in that.
Right.
Yeah.
And their energy transfers over to yours. And it's like you entrain to their frequency, and that begins to open the heart. And this is why, like, they have equine therapy now, where
Mm.
you can go and just be in their presence. And through interacting with the horses, you learn how to trust again. They
Mm.
show you how to start trusting again. They model that for you. And then you create this relationship and begin to trust each other. So that's a really beautiful offering that a lot of people are creating now, especially for like vets that come home from war or people that have been traumatized and abused, like those kinds of situations. It's a really gentle way to begin opening the heart. It's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a beautiful experience.
Yeah. They are incredible to be around. Raising the frequency says, I had a strong sense of horses this week. Horses are majestic angels. I agree.
Agreed.
Hi, Pathfinder. Hi, Maureen. Good
Hi,
to see you
Maureen. Hi,
guys.
guys.
Lana, Sundancer, Erica. Thanks for being
Hello.
here. I didn't think anybody would come. It's like the middle of the afternoon. We usually are on late.
Yeah, we're never on at this time. Just
Yeah.
figured we had time. We've been
Yeah.
working all week, so the weekend will be a nice time to chill out. But I still have like art projects to do for school.
You have our projects to do.
Yeah, Julie wants to recreate Brenda for a gift exchange.
Oh, Brenda. This is Brenda, if you guys haven't seen her yet. That's a nice gift.
Yeah.
This is Brenda. She's our pencil holder. Yeah. Well, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
I was just going to say something and I forget. Mm.
But yeah, settling in these energies just of the everyday. I've had dreams, but not able to grasp them. And I was mentioning this also in the group that we just had. I'm not sure if it's because I'm currently integrating my subparts and whatever, that if because they're present and I'm not really fully 100% in my core self, that is why I'm being hazy, which also comes with the memory, like the fogginess of the memory in every, in the waking state. So
I think there's that. And then there's whatever inorganic frequencies are going on too. Because, yeah, I was dreaming a lot and remembering my dreams. And I was like so happy and excited and like proud of myself. And then all of a sudden it stopped when these frequencies came in. And now at night, where I was sleeping peacefully before, I'm waking up in these intense hot flashes again, soaked in sweat, like startled awake. I think there's some kind of hijacking of the nervous system. That's what it feels like to me. Because when you look into the symptoms of, I follow Anthony Williams, the medical medium. I feel like he has really good information, and a lot of the symptoms of like nervous system dysregulation that I'm having, including like swelling in the esophagus, it's because the vagus nerve is inflamed. And yeah, so I think these frequencies that they're blasting us with must have some kind of effect on the nervous system. And again, this is where it becomes important for us to really take care of our bodies and to do all of the things we can do to help the nervous system regulate, because we're up against a lot. And I think Qigong is something that I want to start. It keeps coming up over and over and over again.
I
I
know.
keep putting it off. And yeah, I think I really need to start doing that as a way to move energy, to calm the nervous system, and to really ground into the body. I've done it before and, here and there, but never like a full everyday practice, which I think we really need to do that. We really need to be committed to
We
ourselves,
should
and
do 30-day Qigong.
we should. Do you want to
Yes.
start?
Yes, we have to.
Start today?
Yeah.
Okay.
When?
I don't know.
It would have to be tonight.
Tonight. Okay. We'll do that.
Yeah.
How are you guys feeling? Hi, Kelvin and Sandy and Seeking the Way. Are you guys noticing any weird frequencies or having body issues, not being able to ground. Old Religion says, what are the top 5 books that you two have read that helped you get to where you are today? By the way, the hair
I don't
looks
read.
healthy and silky. You have read.
Pardon?
You've read.
I have, but I mean, I like magazines. I'm not. Okay, I'm sorry. I do read when necessary. The books that have helped me are A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. In the beginning of like when I really started my deep healing, that was a really good book starter for me to detach from my ego and understanding my victimization and how I've identified so much with my victimhood. That has helped a lot as a starter. And then the next one, I guess the only thing that I could really think of, Codependent No More was a really good one too for understanding patterns. I think I've only read 3 books, to be honest. That have helped my journey. And the third one was Complex PTSD.
Pete
That was,
Walker.
yes, by Pete Walker. That has helped me so much too in understanding my traumas and how I was healing my own narcissistic tendencies, as or my potential of becoming a narcissist. So healing that inner child and the wounding under, that wounded child inside that was now coming out in the adult self, not necessarily in my general sense, but more towards my kids. So that was really helpful. Yes. You?
Yeah. Oh God. Well, the ones that stand out the most, definitely A New Earth. That was also the same for me, helping me to understand that I'm more than this body, this mind, and the victimization that I had been keeping myself under, so that I could step back from that and be the observer of things. That book changed my life. That was that and The Secret I read almost simultaneously. And that really opened my eyes to this whole world of energy and consciousness. So that was like the very beginning. God, there's been so much since then that it's really difficult to.
Oh yeah, sorry. I read also Journey to Souls or something. That was early on before we even started BQH.
Yeah. That was a big one too, Journey to Souls. There's just been so much since then, it's hard to even pinpoint. Can You Stand the Truth is something that I'm working through right now by Angelica Agnastu. I'm sorry if I'm butchering her name, but Can You Stand the Truth? It's a very, very dense book, but and I don't even know how a human being could go through all of that and put all of these sources and time and energy and effort into that she did.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That is an amazing book, but it's very dense and takes some time to work through. What else?
I would like to read Eve Lorgan's books through and through.
Oh, yes, those two.
Yes, Eve Alien Love Bite. Yeah.
Yeah. Understanding narcissism from more than just the 3D like psychological realm, but moving into the realms of energy and understanding it from an energetic point of view, which we were, but we weren't trusting what we were experiencing and knowing until someone else was like, yes, this is really happening. These people are hijacked. There's entities working here and all of that kind of thing. So yeah, her books were huge for me in having that understanding that, yeah, this is really happening, So,
yes.
There's been so many. Yeah.
Yeah, you read more than I do. I don't. It's only like, I'm very particular about what I read. And it usually just has to do more so like in terms of my own healing and how to help me understand things a little better. If
Yeah.
not, I'm able to just watch videos, whatever resonates, what I feel resonates. So I've done a lot of like video research on the same subjects and whatnot. So
Yeah.
I commend people who get who can read and who can watch videos all the time. Like it's amazing to me how you can exercise that time, like your time to do research and all that. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I wish I had time to and
I
that attention span.
it's really inherent to me to be a seeker of truth. And I can be very mental and intellectual as well.
Mhm.
So that that just comes naturally to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I've done everything. I think that's what's good about our dynamic is that like you're the researcher and things come to you intuitively and are brought to you. Whereas for me, it's like a lot of the books, like I said, are based on my own healing, my inner healing. That's all what they've been about. Whereas like on the research side of like, the Gnostic texts and all of those things and whatnot, I don't go there. And I choose not to go there because of like me going into the field all the time. Like I spend a lot of my life now in the field. So I just, whatever gets pulled in that way is, either sometimes validated by other people's experiences, validated by, you know, information that comes through the, books and whatnot that Tina's read or whatever has happened or whatever comes in.
Oh my God, I have so much in my Kindle library. But just to add to that list, the medical medium books were huge for me, and really understanding how the body functions, what it needs to heal, and like those kinds of things. That information for me was so invaluable. That was a huge part of me healing and getting to where I am now, and in understanding the body and healing from physical illness. I mean, of course, there's always the trauma work that goes along with that, because the physical stuff that you do, the detoxing, can only get you so far if you're not addressing the trauma that's lying underneath, because that trauma is an attraction point for negative frequencies, whether that's toxins or pathogens or nano and AI, all of that stuff. It's attracted to the trauma in the body. So you have to do both the physical detox and the trauma release from the
Mhm.
body to really heal.
Yes.
So yeah. Um, how am I finding the book? Can you stand the truth? It is very it's dense. I like it. I find that the information is very fascinating, and it was interesting, like how I came across that, because it was like I was led to that, and I think there is a lot of truth in it, for sure. Yeah, being in the mind a lot can, block the heart, for sure.
Totally.
Purging, purging is the word of the week.
Yes. That's what we're,
Purging is the
yes.
word of the week.
Yeah.
Yes.
We've been hearing it all week.
There's a huge purge. And like we talked about in the last video about the sun flares and how they come in and they create this purging effect, this purging energy. So it seems like there's a lot of darkness, the energy is heavy, but it's like we're moving this stuff out so we can step into lighter and more expansive states of being. But it's really heavy and dense trying to get through that and doing that purging. It's like, when you finally, clean out your closet, and it sucks while you're doing it, but it feels amazing afterwards. And everything's so much lighter and the energy feels good, you know? So yeah,
Yes.
definitely a lot of purging.
Yes. It's like an early spring cleaning.
Yeah. Yeah. So what else is up with you?
Um, just processing. I'm always just processing. I always feel like, that thing in my screen is just processing. It's just going. I've been more in my core self though, as we gradually go on. It was helpful for you to note that, about myself and how hard I can be on myself, that it's taking long, that I'm getting impatient with my integration. But it has only been a couple of days.
You had like 3 quantum healing sessions back to back. You retrieved 57 parts of your consciousness.
Yeah.
I think you're doing pretty well with the integration. Like it hasn't been that long.
Yeah, no, I know it's true, but time has been funky, really funky. And I feel like we are jumping like different timelines. Sometimes a part can make me come back into an old timeline. And then sometimes one brings me into the current or somewhere else. And there's like these subtle shifts going on every day that we're trying to go over the hurdles with a lot of grace. But I've done a series of a couple of videos just documenting my process again, like what has been happening with this current integration. I don't know if we're going to post it. I'll let you decide if you want to post it. One is very raw.
Raw
Like,
how?
I was in a trigger and I recorded myself in a trigger. Yeah.
What kind of trigger?
Oh, it was just a scatter, like feeling really awful about myself trigger. Terrible, terrible, terrible. It was a thing like with the school teacher and how she made me feel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it was that day. So the computer happened to be on lights, camera, action. I told my daughter, I'm like, let me be right back, baby. I just gotta film something. And I was like shaking and managed to press record and allowed myself to be. So I recorded it. I don't know if that's like, I wanted to see it for myself. It's not necessarily I did it for audience. It's not even, it wasn't even about that. It was just because I was so split at that moment. I wanted to see myself split. I've never seen myself split. I know what it's like inside the body as it's splitting, but not to see it, to look at myself doing it.
What was it like to watch that back?
Made me cry. Because of you could see and really sense the shattered, like the broken, like all the parts that are devastated all at once. But then you could see the spectrum of consciousness happening at the same time, where there is that unconscious part feeling, but then the conscious bringing it to light. So I'm expressing myself as it's happening, just so that I can make aware of what I'm feeling in that moment, like as it's coming up live. So watch it and let me know what you think. I made an intro to it the next day when I was more embodied, but maybe you should make the intro of it if you want to share it. But it was also for you to see too. Like it was really just like raw. So I wanted people, like I wanted that to also be a demonstration to people of how you could be fine one moment and something can just come in like that and you split so quickly, and if you're able to catch it, because that split opening like leaves an opening for something to come in. And again, to be so conscious of yourself. Like that's really it. In order to claim sovereignty, you have to be so conscious of yourself. Not what happens on the outside. It's what is reflecting back into you and how it makes you feel.
When you say split, what exactly do you mean?
The parts, like your subpersonality parts, your fractals, whatever it is.
So like your inner children.
Yes, for example, or all of them. Whatever has split within you through your traumas.
Right. So when the teacher of your children says that thing to you, it's not your adult self that is getting triggered. Your adult self knows the truth of who you are, but that is landing
On a younger part, a
on
younger version of
part.
myself that is feeling criticized and small. And then that one comes out and says, why did she say that? You know? Yeah. It sparked a lot of terror in my body,
Hmm.
massive amounts of terror, because I wasn't feeling safe, because the adult or the authority from that perspective, the child's perspective, is telling me that there's something wrong. So where can I turn to if I'm not feeling safe? If an adult is telling me that I'm not enough, or is my fault, insinuating it's my fault.
Wow.
So yeah, I was able to catch that child. I was shaking and I was like, okay, let me just go to the room. And yeah, I was shaking the whole time. Shake, shake, shake. Yeah. And then, but then, like I had the trauma wave happen, like come up to the surface, and then it came over, like when it peaks, and then it's over, it's done. And then it was fine. Like my core self started to come through. I was still a little shaky, and not fully in body. I was on the balcony here, but in my vicinity, and allowing for the energy to fall and fully come out.
Hmm.
And then you come back to core self.
And that's the shadow work. That's bringing those unconscious parts of ourselves into the conscious, into the light. So we can see, experience, and then release that trauma and integrate that part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So how did you feel after that?
After I released it, I felt very validated for that child. I mean, the child felt validated because I had created the safety for the expression, for the injustice part to come out of, like that wasn't fair what she said. And so I felt more clear. I felt more centered, more, I think like my anger comes out in sadness. So it's like as if I was able to pull the anger in, but it comes out as I cry. So it came out that way.
I always cried when I'm angry too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. But I was really angry. So I guess that's a progress on me being able to allow anger to come through. So it did. I feel like I've done so much work already that maybe the fizzling is part of it, but I feel like there's more that I need to come in so that it does have its space to express, and then it goes. But I don't even know how long that video was. I didn't look backwardly on it. Like I watched maybe half of it, and then I turned it off. Not because I was like embarrassed. I was like, okay, I've seen enough. I think it's good. Like, because I was crying watching it, rewatching it after, and this was a couple of days after it happened. So it
So
did still trigger.
when you were crying this second time, what were you crying for when you rewatched it?
I feel it's the compassion I had for the kid.
Yeah.
Seeing myself as that baby or the child that was it's always the little girl with the little haircut and the red outfit holding her baseball bat. Her, like, speaking freely.
Yeah. Yeah. And so like when you were in it, you were her, you were allowing her to express that. And then when you go back and rewatch it from your adult self, when you're anchored into your core self, you as your adult are feeling compassion for the child who experienced that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it makes it easier also in my parenting. So not that I'm dismissive of my kids' feelings. I've been a lot better since I've become more conscious of it. But just the holding of the space to have it without needing to give a solution. It's just having the feelings in that moment.
Yeah.
Permission.
And that's an important part of opening the heart, is allowing the inner child to have his or her feelings and allowing those feelings to come through your body. Because a lot of times when we're blocked from the heart, it's because the inner child's inside holding all of that back. All of those experiences, all of those feelings are being held back. And so that's blocking the heart. But when you
Yes.
can start to slowly tap into them, and for a person that's that traumatized and split, the idea, the thought, what just happened?
It said
The
meeting is now streaming live on YouTube.
okay. The thought that of experiencing any kind of feeling is overwhelming because you think it's going to overtake your whole system and you're never
Yes.
going to come back from it.
Yes. I think I say that too in the video.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really stress that because it feels so intense in that moment where you're completely in quicksand, drowning in the quicksand, and but then you really don't. It's just you feel the consumption of that and how deeply it can consume. But you're just purging. That's what the
Right.
grand purge feels like. It feels like death, but it's purging.
And it doesn't last forever. It's, a few minutes.
Right. Yes. So that goes back to the question of how to connect with the heart and whatnot and the inner child. It's giving that space. You don't have to figure it all out. It's being able to just hold the space. And eventually the child within will trust. I think that was a hard one for me, was to, when connecting to the inner child, was to acknowledge that that child was holding everything for me and that it was shunned and that it was locked away
Mm-hmm.
until you're able to meet her, him, and to give your attention just by seeing them, just even that acknowledgement. I see you. And eventually the heart will slowly open because there's still, like, even if it's the child that has no trust, it's echoing into your adult self that has no trust either. So when you can start trusting it, it'll slowly but surely open.
Yeah.
Yes. And then through that, like, you'll be able, like, a healing for us has been really expansive, especially in the commitment of creating, again, a quality of life on earth here. When you start to see results, you will feel more motivated to keep doing the work. When you get to the roadblock, of course, you're like, oh, again, I'm not motivated. But then you do it anyway because it's part of your programming, your reprogramming. Let's do it again and see where it goes. It's temporary. And that's how you sharpen your discernment. That's how you're able to start to fully embody yourself. And that way, when you see people and can read them so well, you can hold the compassion and space for them to be who they are in that state of consciousness that they're in, and just hold it and understand more that you don't have to judge them for where they're at, but to understand that we were all on the spectrum, just trying to get to where we need to get to.
We're all on the spectrum.
We're all on the spectrum, guys. We're all of us. We're all on a spectrum.
Well, I think that's a beautiful place to end it. I'm just going to scroll through the comments. Hi, Jess T.
Hi, Jess T. Oh my God, all these people that have not come for a while. I was thinking about you guys.
I know.
Jess T was one of them, that's for sure. Candidly, too, I was thinking about you, just because we haven't heard from you in a while. But it's nice to see that you're here.
Yeah.
Know thyself.
Samantha, why don't you send us an email? Let us know a little bit more about your son. Candace says, I did a deep exercise where my emotions came to me as my children, and their state of dress showed me what condition they were in. I talked to each one to see what they needed. Very effective. That's beautiful.
That's a great exercise.
Dawn says, I too have been having esophagus trouble swallowing sometimes. Think it may be biofilm buildup. I'm recommitting to MMS again. Yeah, I've been doing MMS too. Just because, being exposed to the shots, I'm worried about how it's affecting our blood, because I've seen, first of all, what are they called? Autopsies, not autopsies. Something, like when the body's dead and they drain the blood, it's all these little coffee ground micro clots. So there's micro clotting happening. So I'm worried what's happening to our blood when we're exposed to it, because after I have exposure, I can feel it in my body, and it seems to settle in my hands and feet where the capillaries are the smallest, right? Like in those places. So it would make sense to me that it could possibly be like micro clotting, and also like the brain fogginess and things like that, because we know that it can cross the brain blood barrier. So MMS, oh God, I hope we don't get banned for this, but that is really good for clearing and oxygenating the blood. So that's why Karen and I have been doing it too, to really open up the blood, because really when it comes, that's why they're poisoning, because they know the blood is like connected to life force energy. There's that connection there, and that's why they're targeting it. So we have to keep our blood as clean and open and flowing as possible. I think the microclotting is what's causing a lot of the issues, including like the esophageal stuff. I mean, it could be biofilm, but I think it's something with the microclotting and the nervous system hacking that's going on, because the vagus nerve runs up and down here. That can become swollen and then cause issues with your swallowing.
Yeah.
So
Tina and I went to a holistic spa and we tried that. What was that thing where we put our feet in the water?
Oh, that I thought you were talking about the hyperbaric chamber.
That's something else. Yeah.
The ionizing foot detox bath thing.
Yeah, that was disgusting and shocking. And the guy was like, "Do you work with heavy metals? And do you did he say something like with your liver?" And I'm like, "Oh, no."
No, but I definitely feel like my liver is being affected. I feel it, like energetically, it feels clogged.
Yeah.
So
right.
I've been doing a lot of just like heavy metal detox smoothie, which also helps the liver clear. I've done celery juice every morning for what, 5 years now, and lemon water, which also helps to clear the liver in the morning. Unlike you, where I don't really eat anything until evening, like dinner time.
Yeah,
And
then I'm a raccoon in the trash.
right.
Like the light
Right.
turns on and I'm like,
It's weird because I think parasites become more active at night. I really think.
well, it's probably because that's when we get shot so badly with the frequencies and, the energy settles because everybody's in bed. So it's like we're more in tune and that's when we're most alive. And then they shoot the frequencies and then the parasites are like, all right, let's go. What we got? What's in the cupboards and what's under the pillow? And
Under the pillow.
yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I think that's good for now.
Yes, thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Again, pay close attention to what's going on within. Like, let that be an exercise. What is going on within? Because it's just reflecting what's going on out there anyway. So, see where your consciousness is being pulled, see where you're getting distracted, see what is happening. Are your doors open? Close them. Come back home.
Yeah. And really doing your best to ground into the body and staying present,
Yes.
because they're trying their hardest to eject us from the body so that other beings can come in. And it's
Yes.
happening. It's happening to people who are unaware, and these are good people. They've been, they've worked all their lives. They've been sensitive, kind, caring human beings, and they just get hijacked overnight. So,
Yeah.
yeah, being careful with your energy,
All
staying
right.
in the body, staying present, and be gentle with yourselves. Lots of self-love.
Absolutely. Well, please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and comment and let us know anything. You could email us at quantumhealingwithtina@gmail.com or leave us a comment after the fact. We appreciate you all. As always, thank you so much for your presence and for being with us. And hello, Tina. Yes. P.S. P.S.
P.S. P.S. Jeff says the decimal numbers appear on my old Samsung phone when I scan Bluetooth. What is interesting is one of my boys slept with another girl and now he has a number.
Shut the fuck up. Dots in between, just because we're talking about dots. Really? Oh, Lord.
Yeah. Erin, it's so interesting that you mentioned a grounding mat. I just bought one today to use here for sessions. So, because someone else recommended that to me.
Awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys so much for being here. We appreciate you all, and just sending you all of our love, and we'll see you next time.